Hey there, it's Leona. Welcome to Zen Mindfulness Shodo. Today we're gonna practice Shodo meditation while focusing on the Hiragana character for Ma. So, let's begin our beautiful journey together. When you write a character, imagine a square about the size of the character that you are gonna write like this. First I'm gonna write it. Then I'm gonna explain the points and tips for writing the character beautifully in detail. Let's start the explanation. The first stroke begins slightly below and to the right of the center point of the top left square. Draw a line with a gentle upward slope, not too steep, moving to the right until the middle vertical line is in the middle of the stroke. This line should start with light pen pressure, gradually increasing as it moves to the right, becoming thicker for a more appealing look. Extremely simplified, this line curves upward like this. Then from the end point of the first stroke, move the pen downward to the left like this. So it looks like this. The second stroke starts slightly to the right of the first stroke's starting point, at about the height of the middle horizontal line. To put it in an extreme way, this is a downward curving line, but it slopes upward to the right until the middle vertical line is in the middle of the stroke. The end point of the second stroke should be slightly to the left of the first stroke's end point. Be careful not to go to the right of the first stroke's end point. Also, ensure that the second stroke isn't longer than the first overall. For example, like this. If the second stroke is longer than the first, the shape of the Hiragana Ma doesn't look very appealing. So keep the second one shorter than the first one. Then, move the pen upward to the left, from the end point of the second stroke. The third stroke starts from a point a little bit higher than the middle of the upper half of the middle vertical line. It's a slightly S-shaped curved line, moving straight down along the middle vertical line. If you find the S-shaped curve difficult, you can achieve a similar effect by curving slightly to the right as you move down, expressing the characteristic curved beauty of Hiragana. Around the middle of the lower half of the middle vertical line, gradually curve downward and to the left. How far to the left? Continue until you're roughly below the starting point of the first stroke. Then curve upward, and now draw a line slightly curving upward as you move downward to the right. How far down? Continue until you're roughly below the end point of the first stroke. When the end point is around here, the intersection point comes to about the middle of this line, moving downward to the right, creating a balanced and appealing look. Be careful not to let this end point go below the lowest point of the third stroke. So, this is an example. Avoid dropping down sharply. It's better to descend at an angle that keeps the end point about the same height as the lowest point of the third stroke on the left side. Also, as I mentioned when explaining how to write the Hiragana Ho, which is similar to this character Ma, except for this extended part at the top. If you can write it so that this space and this space appear about the same size, the overall character looks more balanced and appealing. So for example, if I write it here, it looks like this. For instance, if it looks like this, where the bottom space is much bigger than the top, or conversely like this, where the top one is bigger than the bottom, the overall balance of the character looks off. If you can curve it at a height that makes these spaces appear almost the same size, the entire character looks more balanced and appealing. Regarding the loop created by the intersection of these lines, If this loop part curves too roundly, like this, the entire character looks more like a rounded character style, which gives a childish impression. An oval-like shape for the curve gives a more mature impression of the hiragana character, ma. Why don't you try practicing with these points and tips in mind? The key points for writing hiragana characters, as explained in the video, are concisely summarized in this book in a similar manner. The book allows you 3 pages to practice each character. It can be purchased on Amazon. See the link in the description. I'm gonna practice 1 page of this workbook this time, but you're welcome to practice as much as you want. If you're practicing with a pen, I recommend that you place a few pieces of paper under the page that you're writing on, so that the ink doesn't bleed onto the page under it. Alright, let's get started.